a Russian nuclear sub encountered a formation of what appeared to be alien spacecraft at depth under the water.
This was hugely unnerving for these highly trained military personnel, and it was quite unlike anything they'd ever seen or experienced before.
These objects, and slowed down at speed, the objects did exactly the same thing.
The captain, fearing that a collision was imminent and that he was under attack, ordered an emergency surfacing of the submarine.
You're dealing with fundamentally a totalitarian system in which UFOs and USOs were not to be talked about.
2009, headlines announced that Soviet Navy files on Lake Baikal had finally been declassified, exposing encounters with impossible objects beneath the ice. But one major problem remained: no documents, no file numbers, no archive references, only rumors and missing proof. Why would a story this large leave no paper trail? Quick aside before we dive deeper, if you enjoy this kind of slow, evidence-driven investigation, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. It's free, it takes a second, and it's honestly the best way to support this work. The algorithm seems to love it, and we genuinely appreciate it. Now, along with Chris Saliger, Dr. John Bradford, who is the principal at Sansom Care and the founder of the Sansom Care Project, and Dr. John Bradford. If the truth is hiding in plain sight, the real question becomes, what was actually found, or not found, at the bottom of the deepest lake on Earth? In December 2009, Russia Today published a headline that landed with weight. Russian Navy UFO encounters revealed. The claim sounded as if sealed vaults had been opened. The report didn't stop at oceans. It focused on water everywhere, from the Bermuda Triangle to Pacific depths and deep inside Siberia at Lake Baikal. One assertion stood out. A large share of these encounters allegedly occurred in or around water. The phrasing was precise, many taking place in or near water. The article quoted naval intelligence officers and named Admiral Vladimir Azhazha, a retired submariner and oceanographer, as a primary source. He was cited claiming that more than half of all unidentified sightings recorded by the Navy happened over or underwater. Baikal, the world's deepest lake, was singled out for something far stranger. A group of military divers, a depth of 160 feet, and an alleged encounter with humanoid beings dressed in silvery suits. The story included fatalities. 3 divers reportedly died during a failed attempt to capture these entities. No names, no dates, just a number and a chilling anecdote. Another name appeared. Captain First Rank Vladimir Smirnov was said to be leading the Navy group responsible for releasing the files. The report described unknown objects shadowing a nuclear submarine, then bursting from the water and vanishing into the sky. It was all presented as established fact, as if the archives were suddenly open. But the headline promised more than the story delivered. There were no file numbers, no scanned documents, no links to Navy records. The Russia Today article offered no way to verify the sources. Western outlets like Fox News and Military.com repeated the claims, quoting the same unnamed officers and pointing back to the same dead ends. As the story spread, its substance thinned. The supposed declassification revealed not secrets from Baikal's depths, but the absence of evidence. I'm really interested in your take here. When a story relies entirely on unnamed sources and missing documents, does that automatically disqualify it for you? Or do you think some truths genuinely leave no paper trail? Share your thoughts below. We try to read as many comments as possible, especially thoughtful, constructive ones, and good discussions often inspire future videos. A 1982 account attributed to Carl Dayar sits at the center of the mystery. A 1982 account attributed to Carl Dayar sits at the center of the mystery, one vivid story retold everywhere, yet always unreachable. The most common version goes like this. A Soviet military dive team, sometimes described as Spetsnaz frogmen, conducted routine exercises at a depth of 50 meters. They surfaced with an account no commander wanted to hear. According to retellings, the divers reported humanoid figures underwater, 3 to 10 meters tall, clad in silvery suits, seemingly taller than the sea. Orders followed. Attempt capture. What happened next belongs to legend, not record. The divers approached. The beings, if they existed, released a force described as a sonar-like pulse that knocked the men back. Chaos followed. The team shot to the surface. 3 died from decompression sickness and 4 were injured. That is the story. But there is a problem. No names, no dates, no incident reports, no medical records from Severodvaikalsk or nearby military hospital. The only evidence is repetition across interviews, books, and articles. Even the death count shifts. Sometimes 3 die, other times no one does. The supposed commander never appears in rosters. No training manuals or after-action reports acknowledge the event. When asked, Russian officials point to natural explanations or deny knowledge. Still, the story refuses to fade. It is repeatedly cited as proof that something extraordinary happened in Baikal. Every attempt to verify it hits a wall. In that void, the legend grows. The diver incident becomes a character itself. Always present, never proven, impossible to erase. A perfect specimen. Detail without documentation. This is also a good moment to hear from you. Do places like Lake Baikal invite myth because of their scale and age, or because science hasn't fully mapped them yet? Let us know how you see that line between geology and legend. We really value nuanced comments. We read them carefully, and when possible, we reply or build on them later. Lake Baikal lies at the heart of Siberia, older than any other lake on Earth. Its age stretches tens of millions of years. Estimates range from 25 to 30 million. Most lakes vanish quickly in geological terms, filled with sediment or drained by shifting rivers. Baikal survived every ice age, tectonic shift, and climate swing since the Miocene. Visibility in Baikal can reach up to 40 meters, allowing sunlight to penetrate deep into the blue depths. In winter, the lake transforms entirely. Ice more than a meter thick seals the surface, turning it into a vast sheet of frozen glass that can stretch unbroken to the horizon. Beneath that ice, the water remains cold, stable, and oxygen-rich, sustaining hundreds of endemic species, from microscopic amphipods to the Baikal seal, the only freshwater seal species on the planet. The importance of the lake goes far beyond impressive numbers or biological trivia. In 1996, UNESCO formally recognized Baikal as a World Heritage Site, citing its unmatched geology and biodiversity. Beneath the lake lies an active rift valley, a crack in the Earth's crust. Visibility in Baikal can reach up to 40 meters, allowing sunlight to penetrate deep into the blue depths. In winter, the lake transforms entirely. Ice more than a meter thick seals the surface, turning it into a vast sheet of frozen glass that can stretch unbroken to the horizon. Beneath that ice, the water remains cold, stable, and oxygen-rich, sustaining hundreds of endemic species, from microscopic amphipods to the Baikal seal, the only freshwater seal species on the planet. The importance of the lake goes far beyond impressive numbers or biological trivia. In 1996, UNESCO formally recognized Baikal as a World Heritage Site, citing its unmatched geology and biodiversity. Beneath the lake lies an active rift valley, a crack in the Earth's crust that continues to widen by centimeters every year. At the bottom, sediments have accumulated in an unbroken stack stretching back millions of years, preserving a continuous record of climate change, ecological shifts, and geological upheaval. For Russian scientists, Baikal is not just a lake, it is both a natural wonder and a living archive, a laboratory where Earth's deep history can be read layer by layer. Its immense age, extreme depth, and sheer scale make Baikal a natural magnet for legends. Every expedition, every core sample, every descent into its depths seems to add another layer to its mystique. The numbers are not exaggerated. The scale is not imagined. Yet numbers alone cannot fully explain why Baikal feels different from any other body of water on the planet. What lies beneath that much water in a place so ancient continues to pull people back. Scientists return for data. Storytellers return for meaning. Others return simply because Baikal feels like a place where ordinary explanations might fail. Beneath the surface, the lake rests on a restless geological foundation, a rift that never truly sleeps, a scar in the Earth's crust, slowly tearing itself wider. Seismic sensors around the lake record constant tremors and microquakes, the subtle movements of tectonic plates grinding against one another. This is not a passive glacial lake, carved and abandoned by ice. It is an active geological wound. At its deepest point, pressure exceeds 160 times that at sea level, crushing force applied relentlessly to everything below. Sediment layers more than 7 kilometers thick have settled into the rift over tens of millions of years, trapping ancient gases and organic material. Methane hydrates form under these extreme conditions, freezing solid only to erupt in sudden, sometimes violent plumes when pressure or temperature shifts. Faults slice through the lakebed, creating underwater cliffs and steps that drop hundreds of meters in a single plunge. In some places, hot springs bubble upward from the crust, carrying heat and minerals from deep within the earth. Water above these vents warms slightly, just enough to disrupt the surrounding cold. Turbulence forms. Currents twist into slow spirals. Pressure reshapes sound itself, bending and scattering sonar waves in unpredictable ways. Instruments designed to detect solid objects can be fooled. Shapes appear where none exist. Columns of methane bubbles, shifting thermal layers, or clouds of silt kicked up by distant tremors can register as moving targets. The rift produces sudden gas releases, symmetrical ice rings, and acoustic signatures that feel almost engineered in their precision. The environment itself manufactures anomalies. Every feature of Baikal's underwater world arises from geology. Pressure, chemistry, and fault lines combine into a system where improbable events are not rare, but routine. For scientists, this makes Baikal one of the most valuable natural laboratories on Earth. For everyone else, it blurs the boundary between the natural and the unnatural. In 1977, Soviet engineers decided to test just how deep human technology could go. They deployed the Pisces submersible into Lake Baikal. There was no spectacle, no announcement, just machinery, winches, and Siberian cold. The objective was depth, not drama. The dive reached 1,410 meters, setting a world record for a manned freshwater descent. The submersible still exists today, on display at the Baikal Museum, scarred, faded, and undeniably real. It is physical proof that the lake's depths are not just imagined. Inside Pisces were thick acrylic viewports, analog gauges, and steel ballast tanks, engineered to survive crushing pressure. The crew returned with samples and data. The dive logs read like technical manuals, not adventure stories. No creatures, no anomalies, just measurements. That single dive proved something crucial. Baikal's depths were reachable. The precedent was set. In 2008, 2 mere submersibles descended again, but with far greater ambitions this time. Over 2 seasons, more than 100 dives followed, reaching depths of up to 1,580 meters, nearly the bottom of the lake. The missions included veteran explorers, engineers, and scientists. Each descent carried high-definition cameras, chemical sensors, and mechanical arms designed to sample sediment and life. Over 2 years, the mere submersibles logged 122 dives, mapping gas hydrates, sediment layers, and biological communities with unprecedented precision. Pressure exceeded 150 atmospheres. Hulls held, systems worked, data flowed, samples filled laboratories. Every dive left a trail of evidence, coordinates, chemistry, biology. If anomalies existed, this was the program designed to find them. In winter, Baikal locks itself under ice once again, and then something strange appears. Giant rings etched into the frozen surface. Perfect circles, kilometers wide, visible from space. The explanation begins below the ice. Warm water rises along fault lines, spinning slow, invisible eddies beneath the frozen surface. Over time, these currents thin the ice into rings. Satellites documented them. Scientists mapped them. The physics checks out. Methane plumes rise from the lake floor in slow, silent columns. On sonar, they look like moving objects where only bubbles exist. Pressure and sound distort perception. Ghost images form. Surveys map the vents and separate illusion from object, chemistry from motion. Archives, however, tell a different story. Declassification leaves trails. Baikal's does not. No files, no logs, no records. Only repetition. 3 explanations compete for space. Non-human visitors, secret military testing, or a self-sustaining myth that feeds on ambiguity. Each demands different evidence. None can be proven. The files remain untraceable. The lake remains active. Some stories endure not because they are true, but because uncertainty keeps them alive. If you want to follow more investigations like this, make sure you're subscribed, leave a like, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps the channel more than you might think.